What's up? What's good? Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Monday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. I hope each and every one of you are doing great, even though, like I said, we're still in a lockdown. If you could please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button to get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. So I've been thinking about where to take my videos, and obviously you guys know I like to do the prison videos. So this is my first medium security video done by myself from outside of Ontario. Today I'm doing Drumheller Institution, and honestly, I just think that I can give some good messages from some things that I read that have gone on there over the years. And I just think it shows perfectly where the system can go wrong at times, and where how people can lose their lives when they shouldn't, and just how prison as a whole is a wrong. So Drumheller Medium Institution is in Drumheller, Alberta, about an hour and a half from Calgary. It's got a 598 person capacity, but I think only about 525 are medium, and the rest are a medium institution that holds 72. Now, I don't know if it's 598 plus 72 or 598 minus 72, but I know there's also a minimum institution on this property. Now, Drumheller Institution recently has been hard hit with COVID. I know at one point there was like 90 people there infected. No idea who dies. All the media and everything online is controlled by the government, so it's really hard to get information on a consistent basis about what's going on in the Canadian prisons. And of course I try, but I do know that it gets smashed with COVID during March and April, and I hope that nobody lost their lives. I'm not sure if somebody has or not. And I hope that everybody recovered and is doing better. And for those that really went through it, touch road soon. It's just a lot to deal with when you're locked up. Now, Drumheller is a medium institution, the same as Joyceville, Collins Bay, Spring Hill, Masque, some parts of Stony Mountain. Medium security. So although it's not war all the time, stuff can get serious. Guys do carry weapons. There are lots of stabbings. You will see people lose their lives. That is prison. Anything higher than medium security, and even once in a while in a low medium security, you might see somebody get stabbed up and possibly lose their life, because prison is prison, and anytime people have their freedoms taken away from them, they can kind of start losing their mind. And this first story from Drumheller explains that perfectly. So there's this dude, I'm not going to mention him, but I don't know if this guy's crazy or if he was trying to build a reputation or what. But back in the day, what this guy did was he went to school. And when he went to school, he carried his shank on him. And this guy had been plotting for days, for some reason, to attack a civilian. So he asked the teacher, who was a young female, to help him with the question. And as he stood over her, he started stabbing her in her scalp, her throat, and her back. Now, as he stabbed her, another inmate who saw this, who probably was like, yo, what kind of waste man move is that, attacking a civilian for no reason? Somebody who comes into the prison and helps people day to day get their diplomas, their GEDs. Usually, if they're respectful people, they're treated with respect. They are civilians, and real convicts don't attack civilians. That ain't badman. That ain't solid. And at the end of the day, these people help you. And every time something like that happens, it's more and more likely that nobody's going to want to come help. It gets ruined for the whole system. So as one inmate stood up, this dude bolted, ran to his cell. So was he really about that life? Or was he really just trying to stab a civilian to build a false reputation? You attack a woman teacher, there's no chance that anybody's going to fight you back. To me, that looks like fear. But when he talked to the RCMP, he said he had been plotting it for days. It felt like a good day to kill a teacher. He felt like it would be super entertaining and that would put him at the top. That would give him status. That people would respect him after he stabbed that poor innocent lady. Clearly he doesn't know the system. Clearly he's got screws loose. I don't know what happened to this dude. I don't know if he got run to PC. I don't know if he's running maximum security. I don't know if he's still in the same prison. I don't know. But I know in Ontario, that dude would have problems because that is not gangster. Now, Drumheller does have a lot of gangster stuff. There's lots of Aboriginal gangs there. There's biker gangs there. There's Asian gangs there because there's two big cities in Alberta, Edmonton and Calgary, which are both 1 million people around plus. And anytime you have real big cities like that with urban centers, you get real gangs, real violence, real politics. And it's not always in max. A lot of guys slip through the cracks. Some guys don't really get in any problems unless it's gang problems, gang beefs, or gang stabbings, because they're about that life, but they're really just not a grump. They're not just trying to stab everybody. But when beef is on, and there's a lot of dudes like that. Now, this last dude, the story I just told you, clearly this dude is a loose cannon, but those guys do exist. And anytime you go to prison, you could come across one of these guys. I remember doing time with the guy that used to tell my boy, I eat people's souls. When I drive up to people at red lights, I snatch their souls. Dead serious. Obviously, there's mental health at play, and not everybody is diagnosed. Not everybody wants to be diagnosed. Not everybody will take medication. And a lot of people with years and years and years of lockup, they go crazy. And if you're somebody who's not really about that life, you could come across one of these guys. It could put you in a situation where you have to defend it. And even if you don't, even if you're scared, say, you have no problem being scared. That's where this next story comes in play. There was this dude in 2001 who kept going to staff and saying, look, I'm scared. Can you please put me in protective custody? This dude was doing a 2-year sentence on some property offenses. Clearly wasn't about that life. Did not want to be locked up with a bunch of people that were violent. And really, you don't have that choice. But this guy went to the staff and said, I'm scared for my life. There's been threats on my life. Can you please get me out of here? And you know what he was told? Anytime you have a problem, just go in your cell and pull the door closed. In November 2001, a riot breaks off in Drumheller Institution. Now, this guy had been labeled a snitch, a rat, an informer, no good, because he kept going to the staff and saying, look, get me out of here. Believe me, that stuff goes around. You see it happen all the time in the system. You don't always see staff say, beat it. You know, any prison I've been in, any time somebody went to check in, they get allowed to check in. There's guys that check in owing thousands of dollars. They're gone. Nobody says, get back on the block. Maybe if you're in certain ranges in Toronto in the bucket, and they don't like somebody and they want to see him get cooked, you might see that. But typically, when somebody's like, and from what I get, it seems like his family was involved. He was genuinely terrified. Well, anyways, when that riot kicked off, what do you think he did? He went into his cell, pulled his door locked, and went under his bed. Seriously? Like at the end of the day, the guy's a check-in, okay? Sucks to be that guy. But seriously, this guy should not have lost his life. And guess what happened? They pried that door open. They saw him as a snitch, as no good. Nobody was there. It was a riot. Let's get this dude. They pried the door open. They stabbed him. They beat him to death. Whatever it was that they did, he lost his life that day in 2001 after repeatedly asking for help. And sometimes those are the breaks. Sometimes you may just get a staff member who doesn't care, doesn't want to do any paperwork, doesn't want to do nothing, tells you to beat it. That is a possibility. You might have a copper that's on the lug. It's less likely and just doesn't care. It's a possibility. You might have a copper that likes violence, is sadistic, just likes seeing convicts fight. A real possibility. And then you just have day-to-day weirdos that just like seeing pain inflicted on people for no reason. And what other explanation can there be when this guy's asking for help and being told straight up, beat it, and then he ends up being murdered? He's a property criminal. He's not no good. He's not a sex offender or a diddler. Sure, he could be a snitch. He probably is a snitch. But he shouldn't have been on that block in the first place. If you knew that about him, if you knew he was a rat, then you shouldn't have had him anywhere near people who had a problem with rats. It is your responsibility as the prison to protect each and every inmate in there. And it's everybody else's job to play the game. Now, if you get a child molester or a sex offender who comes on the block, he's going to get killed. So what do? They fix up their paperwork. They try to slip them through the cracks. And just a little bit of tension on these guys, and they break right away. And they press the emergency button, and they go. You should never die in prison. You should never, ever die in prison when you're doing 2 years for property offenses. Most likely it's drug addiction. Not everybody who's a drug addict is a hardcore gangster who's cut from that cloth. And he should have been taken seriously. He should have been taken out of that block so that person that killed him didn't have to get that life sentence or whatever sentence it was because this rat was on his block. It's shady what happens, man. It's like they want to see the rat get hurt, but they also want to see the killer lose his life. It's like a win-win, and guys play right into it. Obviously, I share my stories with you guys, so you guys don't have to go through these things yourselves. If I could snap my fingers, nobody goes to prison. Nobody's addicted to drugs. Nobody gets murdered in prison. That's what I do. But this is 2021, and it's crazy out there. And that's just not a reality. So what I try to do is to share my stories with you guys so you guys can make the right decisions. You guys can weigh the pros and cons and actually take the knowledge from these videos and find out having to go there yourself that it's not worth it. Because believe me, it's not worth it. Prison is a total waste of time. It's a total waste of talent. It's a total waste of purpose. And if you're here, you have purpose. If you could please hit that like button. If you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. I've seen lots of PCs, lots of hounds and sex offenders get it, and I don't feel bad for them. They make their bed. But every now and then there's somebody who probably shouldn't be in that situation. Not everybody who breaks the law is a hardcore convict who's prepared for that kind of violence and that kind of fighting. And sometimes those guys need to be in PC. And when a staff member refuses to do that, which ultimately costs 2 people his life, man, that's the saddest story of them all. Drumheller Institution has not really calmed down. Obviously, like any medium institution across the country, there will be spurts of violence. It'll go hot, then cold. Tension will build up. It'll go violent. There was a murder there in 2019, I think. It was a stabbing murder. And who knows? They don't report anything. There's probably a lot of violence that we don't hear about at Drumheller Institution. So any institution across this country, don't go there. But if you're from Alberta, if you're from Edmonton, you're from Calgary, you got drug charges, maybe you got a gun charge, Maybe you have some break and enters, maybe a robbery. That's probably where you're going to go if your institutional record's not too bad. And with these stories, you can see even Drumheller, even Joyceville, even Collins Bay, even Warkworth, even Fembrook, anywhere, things can go bad. That's why prison is never the answer. Love each and every one of you. The new Matt Clark.